Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Downtown Dallas, Inc. President and CEO Jennifer Scripps.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Downtown Dallas, Inc.'s 2023 annual meeting, presented by Newpark Dallas by Hoque Global. I am Jennifer Scripps, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the President and CEO of DDI. And speaking on behalf of our incredible team of almost 100 people who work every single day to keep downtown clean, safe, welcoming, and vibrant, we are so pleased that you have joined us here today at the beautiful Thompson Dallas Hotel. Please enjoy your salads as we get underway. We have an unforgettable program for you today, because today we formally kick off DDI's 65th anniversary celebration. Please use the hashtag DDI65 to post throughout the event and to share your favorite DDI and downtown Dallas memories in the coming months. Today we will recognize our 2023 board leadership, most notably our new Board Chair Katy Murray. And we will present our 2023 Board of Governors members. It is also the first time DDI will present our Groundbreaker Award, recognizing a lifetime of achievement advancing downtown Dallas. Our amazing honoree, Ambassador Ronald Kirk, his wife, Matrice Ellis Kirk, and so many of his colleagues and friends are here with us today, and we are so glad that you could join us. Finally, after lunch, we will hear from Pulitzer Prize-winning author, playwright, screenwriter, and musician Lawrence Wright. As you can see, there's not much that this Dallas native cannot do. Award-winning Dallas journalist Robert Wilonsky, who was lucky enough to call Larry a friend, will interview him about the past, the present, and most importantly, the future of Dallas with a focus on downtown. It is a conversation we are calling Downtown Dallas in the New World, a nod to Wright's 1987 autobiography, much of which was about his upbringing right here in Dallas. Thank you, Larry and Robert, for being with us today. We hoped you stopped to purchase a copy of one of his books being sold by the local bookstore Deep Vellum just outside the ballroom. If not, you can buy one later, because we hope that you'll join us after this program for DDI's 65th anniversary party beginning at 1:30 p.m. in our offices. We will raise a glass of bubbly and enjoy some sweet treats, so we hope you don't have to go right back to the office. Larry will also be available to sign books. But before we go much further, I want to take a minute to welcome our elected officials who are in the audience. From the Dallas City Council, Councilman Adam Bazaldua, Councilwoman Paula Blackman, Councilmember Chad West, Councilmember Adam Magoo, Councilmember Gay Donnell Willis, Councilman Tanel Atkins, and Downtown's council members Jesse Moreno and Downtown Councilman Paul Ridley. From the Dallas County Commissioner's Court, Commissioner Elba Garcia, who I want to note is a former Dallas City Council member who served with Mayor Kirk, and Commissioner Teresa Daniel. And from the state legislature, and we know how busy these folks are right now in Austin because the session's in session, we have Senator Nathan Johnson, Representative John Bryant, and Representative Vinton Jones. I also want to welcome some former Dallas City Council colleagues of the then Mayor Kirk who are here today to help us honor him. Honorable Chris Luna, Honorable Bob Stimson, Honorable Lois Finkelman, Honorable Sandy Grayson, Honorable Valletta Forsyth Lill, and Honorable Craig Holcomb. Thank you all for being here. You have each played a vital part in our 65-year history. And finally, thank you to all of our generous sponsors for making today possible. Our presenting sponsor, Newpark Dallas by Hoque Global, a smart district. Our media sponsor, DallasNews Corporation. Our pinnacle sponsors, AT&T, Balfour Beatty, Corrigan, Gibson Dunn, the Headington Companies, Hunt Consolidated Inc., The Jewel, LDWW, Matthews Southwest, McKinsey & Company, and Westdale. Thank you also to our hotel sponsor, the Thompson Dallas, and our floral sponsor, Botanical Mix, and to the many other sponsors at the urban legend and urban champion levels that you will see on the slides. You have all helped make today's event possible. And now it is my pleasure to introduce a representative from our presenting sponsor, Mr. Arthur Santa Maria, Vice President at Hoque Global.
Thank you, Jennifer, and to the entire Downtown Dallas Inc. team for being such crucial partners in making downtown what it's become. And thank you all for being here and supporting Downtown Dallas. We're excited to have Newpark as the presenting sponsor for this year's annual meeting, and we have a short video that we're gonna share with you today. And just wanna share a little bit about us. We're downtown folks. Our founder at Hoque Global has been down here opening businesses and taking on challenging projects for the last couple of decades, always with a vision and dream that Dallas and downtown can be a whole lot more than what it is today. And we're extremely fortunate to have like-minded leaders that have joined with us, many of whom are in this room, in pursuit of making this dream a reality. Newpark Dallas represents a tremendous opportunity for our city to set the tone for how we see our southern sector growing. It's one of the largest shovel-ready and fully entitled opportunity zone developments in the country, and we're not alone down here. There are several other major public and private projects that a lot of people here know about that are poised to completely transform and reimagine the southern part of downtown and beyond. So we hope that you'll enjoy our presentation. Make sure that you scan the little QR code that you have at your table. We're doing some fun giveaways, and thank you again for being here.
Well, so many companies are interested in downtown because downtown is thriving now. I mean, it's very different than it was, say, 10 years ago. Downtown Dallas is so important to this region because any company thinking of moving to this region thinks of downtown first. Well, Newpark gets me excited because it's a big vision for a multi-use project in southern downtown Dallas. And I really get excited about the educational aspect that'll have a lasting impact on our families downtown and on the next generation.
We had met Mike Hoque, and his culture of hard work and entrepreneurial kind of thinking is just like ours. And he's a client-focused person, and we really put clients first. Marrying up all the different educational components in one area will be really attractive for companies to come and want to office across the street and perhaps have a captive employee tech pool. I just think that over the next decade, there could be as much as 5 to 10 million square feet of development along with this educational component that Mike is really passionate about.
We met Mike through some mutual acquaintances, and we hit it off right away. And it wasn't about a building or an opportunity, but it was more about a vision. And so right then and there, I was hooked. Right now today, we see it's pavement, right? But what we agreed on, we had to do the tough thing, and that is set the vision. So what's this place need to be like for the next 20 years? If we don't do it the right way, the first building, it's going to be hard to ever capture it again.
The Newpark development is something we're very excited about at Ambridge. You know, its proximity to the convention center, obviously the integration of education, you know, hospitality, office. We're just privileged at Ambridge to be a part of the project. Very gracious to Mike and his team for bringing us in.
The Texas economy It leads the nation for growth and innovation. Texas is home to the world's 9th largest economy, and we have attracted more than 250 corporate headquarters since I was first elected to be governor. These economic achievements would not be possible, however, without groups like Hoque Global that provide the tools that are needed to carry out infrastructure projects that are essential to the betterment of our great state. So I want to thank you all for your commitment to investing in the development of downtown Dallas and to spur innovation within the technology, education, and business sectors.
It's just such an exciting time to be here in the city of Dallas, both as a resident and as a council member, as we transform the city for the next 50, 100 years. And what's happening on the southern sector is going to be changing the way people view Dallas for the next decade. We have the convention center that's coming, we have Newpark, and all that's going to tie into existing infrastructure that we currently have, like the Dallas Farmers Market, Deep Ellum, in the city core. And so it's going to be an exciting time in Dallas for the next decade to come.
The renaissance of downtown has really been a tremendous story over the last couple of decades. It is really important for the entire region, but especially for downtown, that we continue to upskill our workforce. When we talk to companies and institutions that are looking for places to put down roots and grow their presence, downtown Dallas is this dynamic, authentically urban environment connected to transit and a high-skilled workforce that really, really competes well with cities across the country and increasingly across the globe.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Downtown Dallas Inc. Board Chair Katy Murray.
Thank you to my fellow DDI board member, Mike Hoque, and the Hoque Global team for your vision and your passion. We cannot wait for the Newpark vision to become reality in the years to come. It is my honor to assume the role of the 2023 Downtown Dallas Inc. Board Chair. Thank you to my fellow board members for your vote of confidence. Thank you especially to Mattia Flabiano of Page, who served as a DDI Board Chair for the last 3 years. What an exciting time it is to be affiliated with this organization. For 65 years, DDI has served as the lead advocate for a vibrant, safe, and clean downtown, a downtown that would both is a place to work and a place to live, a place to eat, enjoy art or a show, or stroll through one of our fantastic parks that are the result of the vision of Parks for Downtown Dallas. Much like other downtowns throughout our country, we have faced our share of challenges over the last years. But there is no other downtown in America that has been more successful over the past quarter of a century, laying a plan for growth and following through. And it is because of the commitment of the people in this room who have devoted so much time, effort, and money to the cause. Today is about celebrating you. We can't wait to hear from Dallas native and Pulitzer Prize-winning author Lawrence Wright after lunch. Today is about celebrating our past. We honor a special man who was central to the success we see around us. Today is also about looking to the future, and the future has never been brighter for downtown Dallas. As an executive for an institution based in downtown for nearly 140 years, I have great appreciation for the magic of the urban center. DallasNews Corporation, the media sponsor of today's event, is proud of our commitment to downtown Dallas. It is a commitment that we renewed with our move in 2017 from our longtime corporate headquarters at 508 Young Street to the historic former Dallas Public Library on Commerce Street across from Main Street Garden. We recognize the central role of that Downtown Dallas Inc. plays, ensuring organizations like ours remain committed to the urban core. You cannot step outside without seeing the members of DDI Security, the Clean Team, Homeless Outreach, and the new Ambassador teams. There are few major downtown projects that DDI has not touched over years. From the rebirth of 40 major once vacant buildings to the recent passage of a $1.5 billion ballot initiative to fund a new downtown convention center and upgrade 6 major Fair Park venues. In just a moment, you'll hear more about all that DDI has accomplished over the past year and all that is to come from CEO Jennifer Scripps. But first, some important business. On behalf of my fellow 2023 board officers, Vice Chair Ted Hamilton of Hamilton Properties, Secretary Larry Daniels, HRI Hospitality, and Treasurer Amy Lewis Hofflin, Crow Museum of Asian Art of the University of Texas at Dallas, and Jennifer Scripps and Amy Tharp with DDI. It is my honor as chair of the DDI board to lead our official vote on the 2023 DDI Board of Governors. The names of my fellow board members are scrolling on the screens behind me. The DDI Board of Governors is comprised of executives with some of the most notable downtown Dallas businesses and organizations of all industries and sizes. We thank our governors for their dedication, their service, and their vision. Scroll through. Do I have a motion for approval? Do I have a second? Thank you, Mike. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Congratulations to our 2023 DDI Board of Governors. Finally, without question, one of the highlights of 2022 for DDI was the hiring of Jennifer Scripps as president and CEO. Jennifer, a Dallas native, took the reins in April following 6 years as the Director of Arts and Culture for the City of Dallas. She officed just up the street at the historic Majestic Theater. I speak for our entire board when I say that it is a testament to Jennifer's leadership abilities and the professionalism of the entire DDI organization that they continue to thrive throughout this leadership transition. Now, it is my honor to invite DDI President and CEO and my friend, Jennifer Scripps, back to the stage.
Thank you and congratulations to all of our newest board members. We really have so much to look forward to in 2023 and beyond. Thank you to all of our DDI members and to the dedicated staff at Downtown Dallas, Inc., including the members of our security team, clean team, homeless outreach, and ambassador teams. They work 7 days a week, 365 days a year, keeping downtown clean, safe, and welcoming for all people. We hope you will take a few moments and review our 2022 annual report by scanning the QR code at your table or by visiting downtowndallas.com. Let's please have a round of applause for the DDI staff. Today is my first annual meeting as president and CEO of this great organization. In a few weeks, I will mark my first full year in this position, and what a year it has been. In May, we joined with nonprofit Parks for Downtown Dallas and the City of Dallas to celebrate the reopening of Carpenter Park. This is now the largest park in downtown Dallas. Previously, most people just zoomed by it in their car. It was the latest chapter in a 15-year effort greening our urban core. Former Mayor Mike Rawlings is here, and he championed a lot of this work with the city, and certainly Parks for Downtown Dallas has been an amazing partner. And today, downtown has more than 20 acres of green space for visitors and residents to enjoy. Our team played a pivotal role in the November Proposition A election victory. This $1.5 billion proposition will fund a portion of the long overdue renovation and redevelopment of the Kay Bailey Hutchison Convention Center. What makes this project truly unique is it is so much more than just a convention center redo. It promises to transform the southwest quadrant of downtown, opening 30 acres of developable land, create better connections to the Cedars and to the south part of the city, and create a real pedestrian-friendly environment and district that will serve not only visitors, but Dallas residents as well. The timing is right, as tourism and hospitality in Dallas has really come roaring back. In fact, 2022 hotel revenues in the city surpassed 2019, and projections are very strong in the years to come. The Convention Center project is a big chunk of the $6 billion of planned or ongoing development in downtown Dallas, including 20 different projects. You heard about Newpark Dallas by Hoque Global on the south side of downtown. Well, on the north side, Woods Capital and Kaizen Development Partners are planning a transformative mixed-use development known as the Field Street District, which will connect into Victory. You know where that new Goldman Sachs development is going to be. And on the southeast side of the city, the farmers market dream, born when Spectrum Properties purchased the neglected site a decade ago, has come to fruition. As the Dallas Morning News recently noted, trucks and storage containers had been growing into the ground there because they hadn't been moved for 3 decades. And today, the farmers market is a lively, fresh, food-focused urban neighborhood. Downtown Dallas is the envy of the nation, and at DDI, we believe the wind is at our back. In a few months, we will join again with Parks for Downtown Dallas and the city's Parks Department for the opening of the 4-acre Harwood Park. And this park is going to have the best play structure in all of the city of Dallas. It is the last of the 4 priority parks developed as part of this incredible public-private partnership. We will also continue to see progress on converting office buildings into residential and hotel sites, a trend that Dallas is leading the nation on. This is underway in a series of landmark office buildings, including Bryan Tower, Energy Plaza, Santander Tower, and Comerica Bank Tower, to name only a few. And we will work closely with the city's new Economic Development Corporation so that Dallas can continue to push back on competition from our surrounding suburbs. But it was not always this way. Not long ago, this room was just another vacant room in a vacant downtown building. When only a few hundred people lived in one residential building, it would have been easy to assume downtown Dallas's best days were behind us. Downtown was an office district that shut down by 6 p.m. But by 1995, a growing number of leaders in Dallas were starting to bet on downtown. And with his historic election as the first Black mayor of Dallas that year, Ron Kirk brought the vision, the passion, and the guts to spark a nearly 30-year renaissance for our urban core. Growing up in Dallas, Mayor Kirk is the first mayor I really remember. And what stands out is that his election was something that my grandparents in Oak Cliff and their entire community, and my parents in North Dallas, and all of our neighbors, and all of my teachers were all excited about. Everyone seemed to feel that he brought a new, positive energy and leadership to our city. What makes a downtown viable is what happens after 6 o'clock. Newly elected Mayor Ron Kirk told Texas Monthly. A few months into his first term, he was making the case for a new sports arena just north of downtown and investments in arts and culture. Plus, he was always advocating for businesses to grow and thrive all across our city, including downtown. 6 years is an incredibly short time in the life of an American city, so much of what Mayor Kirk started is only now being realized. Just to give you one example, in his first inauguration address in June 1995, Mayor Kirk called for the formation of an Economic Development Corporation. Well, it was an idea before its time, because the Dallas City Council formed its first EDC last year, just 27 years later. Ron Kirk's passion for our city and for downtown has never wavered. He has represented us from Austin to Washington and all over the world with grace, passion for this city, and of course, plenty of humor. And most recently, he even starred in a commercial for the Prop A ballot initiative to reinvigorate the convention center. Needless to say, it went viral, and I truly believe it helped us even be more successful last November. Please turn your attention to the screens to hear more about Ron Kirk from some of the people who know him best.
Ron grew up in Austin, Texas, and his love for politics began very early. Growing up in civil rights, Ron had the pleasure of being the son of Willie Mae Kirk, and as a result got to know people like Ann Richards at a very early age. When we met, because he was always involved in politics, we did talk a lot about what is your interest in politics. And he always said that if he ever was going to do anything political, it would be running for mayor, always. I never imagined he would do it, but he did.
There's a great quote from Michael Jordan that says, talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. And really, Ron Kirk is kind of the Michael Jordan of Dallas. Ron has an unbelievable ability to build coalitions and to reach compromise and to bring people into the tent. And that's a talent or skill that you can't learn. You have to be born with it.
When Ron ran for mayor, Dallas had just about perfected the art of saying no. And when he won 62% of the vote over two well-known, well-financed, capable candidates, I think it really marked a change.
It's really amazing that a number of people won't know that it was Ron Kirk who got that ball rolling. Dallas is this all-American city, but Dallas had a kind of milquetoast history of white men, white men, white men, white men. And now Ron Kirk has been a difference maker. He opened the doors for so many others to feel like Dallas could be a place for me.
I think there are three major legacies of Ron. First, of course, is American Airlines Center, and you know, we jokingly call it the arena that Ron built. The second legacy or major project was the Nasher. And once again, people don't remember that other cities around the country made a pitch for that. It was not a foregone conclusion it would be in Dallas, much less downtown. And the third thing was the Arts District itself.
He came in at just the right time and looked at all the pieces and saw what they meant together. Not to say there weren't lots of bricks laid before he got there, but he kept at it and he convinced others it was something they should be doing and supporting.
That early focus, that early commitment when he was mayor that has continued throughout these years, for him to lend his voice to this latest effort, knowing that this is a major investment in downtown through Proposition A that can bring new life into the city in a new sort of way. But I think it is a great bookend from Ron's passion 20-something years ago to his continued involvement and passion to bring in new life downtown.
When he was running for the U.S. Senate, he went up to Chicago for a fundraiser. And as the fundraiser was ending, he and his entourage were getting on an elevator to go back down. And somebody stuck their hand in the elevator. The doors opened back up, and a kind of lean African-American gentleman got on the elevator and introduced himself and said, I'm thinking about running for the U.S. Senate here in Illinois, and I'd like to talk to you about your experience and get some tips and pointers. And so after they got through talking, Ron said, well, my only real advice to you is to change your name. And of course, that person was Barack Obama. But that is a perfect example of Ron's ability to make ties and connections, because out of that relationship, he and Barack became friends. And of course, when President Obama was looking for somebody to serve in his cabinet, Ambassador Kirk was selected.
He was a good one to speak for us, and he represented all Texas was. Friendly, outgoing, larger than life, and at the same time industrious and hardworking and believe we can do anything.
He changed the way that Dallas is perceived.
He was the first black man to be Texas Secretary of State. He was the first black mayor of Dallas. He was the first black person to be U.S. Trade Representative. And Ron always said, it's okay to be first, but I need to do such a good job that I'm not the last.
Did I ever think that he would be who he is now when I met him when he was 18? No. I didn't know what he was going to be. I knew he was going to be something. But an ambassador? And I'm always respectful of what he's earned. I know him as Ron, but I'm respectful of Mayor Kirk. I'm respectful of Ambassador Kirk. He earned those titles. And so the fact that he is being honored, I like the idea of him getting his flowers while he lives.
I think Ron will be in his rocking chair still trying to figure out how to call somebody to make a transaction happen or to get somebody to move their corporate headquarters to Dallas. I don't think it's ever going to stop. So I think Dallas is stuck with Ron Kirk.
My mother and father always reminded us, you're as good as anybody else. This is a fight that we've all fought for you to have this opportunity. Don't F it up, but also don't get so big-headed to think that you're the first because you're special. We can lose sight of the fact each of us has the power to transform our lives. Get a good education, use your talents, work hard, and go apply your genius. You can still do that in this country. And that's a gift, a blessing as Americans that we need to remind ourselves. And if we want to keep that, I think then that will reflect itself in how we make our decisions politically. And that's what makes the city so special, is because that's what we do.
On behalf of Downtown Dallas, Inc., and our board and our membership organizations, it is my honor to present Ambassador Ronald Kirk with the well-deserved 2023 DDI Groundbreaker Award. It's heavy. It is cool. Let's go take a picture.
That is so nice.
Thank you. Take a picture. You get to talk now.
Jennifer, Katy, Downtown Dallas, God, thank you. Thank you all here. Thanks to all of my friends who said such nice things in the video. This is a little bit of a mixed blessing. My friend, whenever Willis Johnson does one of those, well, he's getting his flowers while he's alive. You're kind of like, yeah, And then to hear Jennifer Scripps, oh, I was in kindergarten when you were mayor. You could have left that part out. I mean, it is more special than you can imagine to be recognized for doing something that I love so much. But it's a little bit creepy to know that I'm now old enough to be the one, getting these awards. But my heart is full. I thank you. When I stepped down, and Chris Luna and Willis Johnson are such good friends, but they do so many little shots. Chris Luna, well, he ran for the Senate. How'd that work out? Thank you, Chris, so much. But when I stepped down to run for the Senate, I had to resign as mayor. And I want to share with you the closing line of my resignation speech was this. My prayer is that someday Dallas will have a better mayor than Ron Kirk, because you'll never have a mayor who loved it any more than I did. That was true then, that's true today. And because I considered it the highest honor and privilege of my life to be able to serve you as your mayor. And I had a belief that given all of our troubles leading up to 95 that made it possible for me to be mayor, that if we could just focus on what we believed in common, that we could have a better city. And I really got a great break because I was able to serve with a group of city council men and women and city administrators who shared in that belief with me. And so I'd like to believe I'm accepting this recognition, not just on my behalf, but also on behalf of all of those very fine people that I had the privilege to serve with. And I know Jennifer acknowledged them earlier, but for those council members, members of the city administration, with whom I served. Would you please stand so that we can honor you for your good work? There are two people who were as central to everything that we did that aren't with us today, but I could not accept this award without acknowledging the incredible partnership, special friendship, and relationship that I had with former city manager John Ware, and then just the incredibly talented, do-it-all, know-it-all, irreverent Carol Reed, who was my political muse. And when I was elected mayor, our daughters, Alex and Catherine, were 6 and 3. And you heard Matrice reference in her portion of the video that when we had married, she had made it plain. I was marrying a woman with a degree from the Wharton School of Economics as an undergraduate, who was a finance major, and who had very clear objectives of what she expected in a spouse. It did not include quitting job after job after job and frustrating her desire to actually have an income-producing spouse. But in every one of those opportunities, as Secretary of State, as mayor, as ambassador, Matrice said, I know best that we don't have a chance to succeed as a family if each of us is not living our dreams, and this is your dream. I could not have thrown myself into the work that I did in my public life had I not had the support, the encouragement, the confidence of knowing I had a spouse who believed in me but also kept our family together. And Matrice, I am forever indebted to you for that. Y'all know she wrote that, right? No, she didn't. And finally, as I look around the room, and they only gave me a few minutes, but none of this happened alone. This has been a 30-year journey, but it took many of you in this room to believe that we could bring downtown Dallas back. I had a fundamental belief we were not going to have our future as a city trying to replicate everything that was going on in the suburbs. We had to do things that would be unique to Dallas, from the Arts District to the Trinity to Clyde Warren Park to restoring Pegasus, rebuilding the Kirby, and all of this. None of them by themselves would have brought us to where we are. We needed to do all of those, but it took groups like Downtown Dallas and the Chamber and the Citizens Council and real estate people and young entrepreneurs who made big bets on our city. And so I want to publicly honor and thank those of you in the room who believed in Dallas as much as I did and helped make this possible. And I shared this award with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you again. We will return for our keynote conversation in 20 minutes with Larry Wright and Robert Wilonsky. Please enjoy your lunch, and plates will be cleared at the conclusion of the program. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dallas journalist Robert Wilonsky.
I don't think anybody heard anything that was just said, so I will try to reiterate it in a very brief manner. I'm Robert Wilonsky. I'm very, very honored to be here. I'm very glad to be here. It's my first time attending a DDI luncheon on this side of things. I'm very, very thrilled, honored, delighted, proud, pleased to be up here with a man who, I asked him today, are we friends? So we're probably not friends if you have to ask a guy if we're friends. But that said, Lawrence Wright could talk about any number of things today: Scientology, pandemic, terrorism, Texas. But of course, today we are going to talk about his sort of hometown at one point. You were born here, but you certainly are the only Pulitzer Prize winner to have graduated from Woodrow Wilson High School. Welcome, Lawrence Wright.
Thank you. Look at all the people here, Robert.
They are all here to see you?
No, I think there's a good reason to come.
They all have questions about Scientology that they would like to discuss with you later. They're all looking to join.
Well, they could use some recruits in that church.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So look, you and I picked you up at the airport this morning. You flew in from Austin, where you live. And we drove from Love Field downtown, looked around some of the city. We drove around, then we got out and walked around downtown Dallas, where you haven't been for the last couple of years. In fact, I think the last time you were here may have been you and me doing a thing together at the Dallas Public Library for God Save Texas. So I want to first ask you, when you come back here, do you feel like a visitor or do you feel like you're coming home?
Well, I haven't really felt like I was coming home since my parents passed. I used to come up all the time to Dallas, and then the reason to come to Dallas disappeared, and so it became occasional. And it's a little like watching, a child that you know well, a few years pass and they become a teenager, and then they become an adult, and then they become mature, and all of those things have seemed to have happened in the interim. I have to say, I look out at Dallas and I'm just stunned. It's amazing the growth that has come, not just in downtown, which I got to say, you guys have done a wonderful, remarkable job of bringing Dallas downtown back. I remember one book tour, I came to Dallas and there was a signing at, maybe it was Neiman Marcus, but what struck me so strongly is that, back then they used to talk about the donut, the hole in the middle, and downtown Dallas was the hole in the middle. And it got denser as you left the center. The city densified, and that's a ticket for death. So the remarkable turnaround of downtown Dallas is really something. But I look at it a little bit like an archaeologist. I see traces of the city that I knew.
Sure.
And we were back by the old Taishi Gettinger building where I was in the mail room during the Christmas holidays, and then Doug's gym where we both worked out. I don't think we ever crossed paths there. But it was practically the only gym in the whole city, except for the YMCA, which was another place that I remember, because back then it was men's only, and they weren't all young,
but they were all naked.
There was a very, very true. They all swam naked in the pool, and
what a delight! It was,
and you'd see the ministers in your church and stuff like that sitting in the hot tub, and it was memorable.
And scarring, I think, is how you might describe it.
Yeah, it was, and we went by the Morning News, which was the old Statler Hilton, which I remember when I was in high school, my cousin and I, they had the Miss Teenage America contest there, and we decided we'd crash it, So I had back then a white sport coat, for the prom. And we decided to go to the Statler and pretend to be 2 of the 4 seasons. And I think
for this crowd, that's actually a very not dated reference.
Yeah. And boy, those girls were so locked up. And we went floor to floor looking for them, and finally got to the top, and there was a chapel with a guest book. And I signed it Frankie Valley. So as far as your historical artifacts go, somebody will dig that up.
So when you and I ran into each other shortly after the shooting downtown, that's where you and I really started connecting over the last several years. We were at the memorial, the candlelight vigil in front of City Hall.
Yeah.
And that's when you would come here to cover that, to think about, start to reconsider Dallas. Your first book, your second book really, but the first book was The New World, talking about growing up here, Dallas, and your childhood here, and I'd like to get to a little bit of that. But when you came back here and started writing God Save Texas and started considering the state and this city and how it fit into the modern Texas and the Texas of your childhood and of your memory and of your nostalgia in some way, I'm curious what Dallas started to mean to you in a different way as a grown-up, as opposed to someone who had just moved away as quickly as he possibly could.
Well, it's true. I fled Dallas when I graduated from high school. I just wanted to get as far away from Dallas and Texas as I could. And I didn't go very far. I went to Tulane in New Orleans, which is, I would say, spiritually a long way away from Dallas. But you know, the assassination was an inflection point in the city's history. And I remember Mayor Rawlings invited me to come back and make a speech at the 50th anniversary. And I remember saying what struck me so much about Dallas following the assassination is, you know, the city was humiliated. It was taken down like no other city in America. And it deserved it in some ways. It was off the rails. It was a kind of, you know, wildly far-right extremist entity. But it learned something from the assassination. It was humiliated, but it was able to transform that into humility. And that was never more in display for me than during the police shootings, which took place just a block away from the assassination site. And how the city handled that struck me so strongly. The humility, the nobility of that, you know, the way the city cared about it. I was so impressed by that. And I think, you know, the city has grown and matured in interesting ways that might not have happened did it not have the history that it had.
Did your visits after the police shooting and when Rawlings invited you to come to the 50th and then coming back as you did that begin to change your perception of Dallas, your feelings for, your affection for? Because I've always sort of felt that you might have had some disdain for Dallas. You certainly, you know, you got out of here as quickly as you could. You write a great deal about how you felt about Dallas in the book. But certainly I see the first book and God Save Texas as bookends of that journey through Texas, through Dallas, and through your life.
Yeah, Dallas is a complicated city, and I have a complicated relationship with it. I admire the fact that Dallas knows what it wants. You know, Austin is much more conflicted, for instance. Neurotic would be a good word for it. But Dallas knows what it wants, and just like, you know, my dad came here following World War II in Korea. You know, he became a banker, and a little bank in Lakewood that was actually in a strip shopping thing between Doc Harrell's drugstore and Kirk's beauty salon. You could actually walk into the bank from the pharmacy, and now, you know, and then he built it up into this, you know, fine institution that it became. He was looking for opportunity, and Dallas was a city of opportunity, and it gave him a chance to fulfill himself, and it still does that. And I admire that. I think, you know, as long as Dallas can keep its mission intact, then it will provide the two things that a city is supposed to do: provide community and opportunity. I think where all the cities in Texas are suffering a little bit on the community part, because the growth is, the disparity in income and wealth is distorting our societies. And I'm going to make a little pitch right now about Texas and where we're going with this, because I don't think Texans have taken on the fact that Texas is this was even a couple of years ago when it was predicted to double in size by the year 2050. It's growing faster than it was when it was predicted that, and at which time it will be larger than California and New York combined. And in other words, it's the future of America. In Texas, and I remember in Dallas, especially when I was young, we always felt we were on the margin. That, the East Coast or the West Coast, they ruled the world, and, we were outsiders. We're the center now. We are the future. And I don't think that we've taken that on yet, that the responsibility that comes with being where America's going to go. And the other thing that I was thinking about while we were waiting, and I was listening to Mayor Kirk and so on, Texas itself, all the cities in Texas, they're all so different, but they're all booming, and they're all pretty well governed for the most part. We think of, New York and LA as being the kind of population centers, but maybe we should think of Texas as a single big entity with a lot of neighborhoods that are called Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio. They're all very different entities, but they're all together in a way that I don't think any other state has that. And Austin is the 11th largest city in America. Pretty soon it'll be in the top 10, and we'll have 4 of the top 10 cities in the United States. That's a huge portion of the American population, and every city has to maintain its identity so it doesn't get engulfed. And that's what I think fear of Austin is happening. It's growing so rapidly that you can't recognize the city with even a month ago.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because we're walking around downtown today, and you are recognizing a lot of places. Dallas has done a very good job downtown, especially of maintaining those pieces of and pockets of and portions of its history. But I did want to kind of relate your experience in Austin. You certainly had a piece that's much talked about in the last few weeks about Austin, about the changing Austin. The Austin is not the same Austin that you knew, or even I knew when I went to school there in 1986. And I've asked you to read a piece from that New Yorker piece, and we can talk about how it applies specifically to Dallas as well, and perhaps use Austin as a cautionary tale.
Okay, all right. In any city whose identity is changing, it can be hard to avoid the sense that a golden age has slipped away. Newcomers to Austin fall prey to this nostalgia almost instantly, and with a longtime resident like me, the symptoms can become comically acute. But the feeling is more like watching someone you love become someone you didn't expect. It doesn't mean that you're not still in love, just that complexity has entered the relationship. Austin 40 years ago was like a graduate student with modest taste and few resources. Now she's sporting jewels and flying first class. She's sophisticated, well-traveled, and well-connected, and those aren't necessarily bad things. They're just disorienting. Nostalgia is a way of remembering when things were simpler. It also makes us forget that simple things can be boring and frustrating.
When I was a kid, my dad would be, and even up until just my father's death a couple of years ago, he would walk around downtown with me, and he would say, I remember where that was, I remember what that was. He would lament the things that were gone rather than celebrate the things that had taken their place.
Yeah.
You talk about the complicated relationship you have with Austin. I think many of us here may have the same relationship with Dallas.
Yeah.
We celebrate its evolution. We cheer for its growth, but at the same time, we lament those things that might have taken their place or the things that have disappeared. What would you tell many of the people in this room who are in fact shaping the city for the next 10, 20, 50 years as they begin to take on that challenge of maintaining what the city is, what the city center is, while trying to take it to its next step in its evolution?
I think it's a privilege in a way to be living in Texas where you can still change things. A lot of the cities in America are fossilized, and you can't really affect it. And this is evidence that people here actually have their hands on the wheel, and you can make changes. I worry a little bit in Austin, for instance, that we don't have as deep a bench as I see before me in terms of people who are planning and thinking about the future of Austin. It's just happening to us. It's not happenstance exactly. There are very talented recruiters out there. They're looking for new industries that would come into Dallas, and they've done an amazing job. But we don't have the people that are invested in it the way that I see this institution is. And I wish we had that. I wish we had, for instance, you mentioned the park thing. I'm very interested. My dad was on the park board here, and he started Beautify Texas. And I've always been interested in parks, and there's in downtown, right outside of downtown Austin, there's Camp Mabry, which was given to the state by the citizens of Austin at the turn of the 19th century. And I'd like to take it back. You know, I think it would be like Austin Central Park. And so, you know, I thought, well, I've got something to learn from this park organization here in Dallas that maybe we can take to Austin and try to borrow some of the juju that you have here and apply to this. But, you know, the thing about the change, you know, this article that you referenced started when I was invited to induct Joe Ely, this Texas troubadour, into the Austin City Limits Hall of Fame, which is broadcast tomorrow night. I really urge you to see it. It's a fabulous show. But they gave us a room in the W Hotel, and we went up to the 15th floor and opened up the blinds, and we didn't see a single thing we recognized. You know, we've been in this city for 4 years, and I couldn't even tell what direction we were facing because all the skyscrapers, and there were, within view there were 10 building cranes, and it's impressive, and I kind of bow down to the economic force that has created it. But on the other hand, there's a tendency to make you feel more like a resident than a citizen. You know, that there are forces bigger than you that are in command. And, you know, I never felt that way before. And I feel like that's a loss. And that's a turning point for a city, but I'm gratified to see that there are a lot of people here that don't feel that way.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because as we walked around, you recognized many, many familiar landmarks.
Yeah.
Places you worked at, as you said, Tite Skedinger Building, places you worked out, Doug's Gym, and so forth. When you come back, do you think to yourself, Dallas has not yet done to itself what Austin has done to itself?
Well, Austin is about the size that Dallas was in 1970. Mm-hmm. And now, you know, Austin is growing faster than any other metro area. And Dallas is also growing at about the same pace. It's unbelievable to think about the amount of change that's happening. When I want to touch the Dallas I knew, I usually go make a swing through Lakewood. Lakewood is better. I can see, you know, I'm proud because I can see some of my father's influence on it.
We should tell people that your father actually helped to preserve a lot of what became Swiss Avenue. He actually...
Yeah. When Daddy became president of this bank, Swiss Avenue was a bunch of tenements. And he saw the potential there. And at this time, it was a very novel thing for him. When young people would come in and want to buy one of those houses, he would give them more money than the house was worth, called sweat equity. You have to fix this up. And that's where, you know, the renovation of Swiss Avenue came from. And I just really, it's interesting to see that, you know, he led a bond issue on air conditioning the public schools, and I'm so glad that passed. Most of you won't know what it was like, but it was horrible. So, I think his civic involvement has always touched me. And so when I come back, I like to go past the house. There's a weird thing. I like to go down to White Rock, and there's a worm stand. I don't know if it's not there now, but it was the last time I checked. I always go by the worm stand because I always thought I'd like to buy it. I wanted to have a little piece of Dallas, and I thought the worm stand right there on top of the lake would be the perfect investment.
Yeah. Look, we have a few minutes left here, and I do want to sort of talk about a little bit. We talked a moment about the cautionary tale, what you would tell people, and I was sort of struck by, as you addressed Jennifer about you'd actually like to take parks for downtown Dallas, something like that back to you with Austin. I do sort of wonder if in fact we aren't doing it right here in a way. Austin did seem to happen in a sort of haphazard, it became too big for itself too quickly.
Right.
When I left Austin in 1990, the reason I was eager to get out of Austin is because I felt like Austin wanted to become Dallas and had no idea how to do it. It was easier to come back to Dallas and just be in a place that was already doing what Austin wanted to do.
Yeah, I can understand that, but I lament, that you really do have the sense in Austin of people being pushed out because of, there were, I think, 340 people move to Austin every day, but about 220 of them leave. So there's, you can sense this, the demography, the force of demography is very powerfully felt in Austin. And who are those people? They're minorities, they're musicians, they're the teachers and firefighters and people like that, the people that we need in the city. And then, we're beginning to face the homeless problem in a serious way in Austin as well. All of this is because of income disparity and the absence of affordable housing. And
Which is the same problem that Dallas is also having, the same problem that any major Texas or major city that's growing at these rates is going to have.
There's one thing about Austin that I like a lot. I think it characterizes Dallas too, but Austin really defines itself as an entrepreneurial capital. And at one point it had the highest rate of entrepreneurs and so on. All those charts that you rate cities, at one point Austin was that. There's one entrepreneur in Austin that I think is a real Texas figure. His name is Alan Graham. And he's, very spiritual being. He's, a fervent Catholic, but he was a real estate developer and crushed by the S&L crisis. And he went on a Catholic men's retreat, and he was inspired to deliver food to the homeless. He created this thing called Mobile Loaves and Fishes. And that wasn't enough. He decided that he wanted to help these people get off the street. So he convinced some rich people to buy some land. He was, formerly in real estate business. He had friends who were architects and contractors, and they built, these tiny houses, about that movement, and there's no kitchen or bathroom in it. Those are all communal. But, so right now we have a hardcore homeless population in Austin is about 3,000. There are more than that, but they tend to not be hardcore. In order to get into what's called Community First Village, you have to have been on the street for at least a year, and the average is 10 years. He's now got 400 of the 3,000 homeless people, formerly homeless people, in housing. At the end of this year, there'll be 1,400 more. So this one individual, through an act of Christian charity, has resolved 2/3 of Austin's homeless problem. And I think that's a very Texas thing to do. I like to think of it as being a very Austin thing. He has an entrepreneurial hub, and there are people assembling jewelry for Kendra Scott and stuff like that, and it's really fascinating. So I take heart in that kind of inspiration can still animate a city and define it in some ways.
We are out of time, so let me just say this. You can buy Lawrence's books, I believe, outside. He will sign them for you afterwards.
Be happy to.
But my friend, I'm happy to call you my friend.
I agree.
And one day I'll feel comfortable enough to call you Larry. But until then, please say thank you to Lawrence Wright.
All right, thank you, Bobby.
Thank you so much, Lawrence and Robert, for that thought-provoking conversation. I really liked the part about our mission to create opportunity as well as community. Thank you again to our presenting sponsor, Newpark Dallas by Hoque Global, a smart district. Our media sponsor, DallasNews Corporation. Thank you to LDWW for your work producing the videos today, to Ambassador Kirk. Thank you to all of our other sponsors and guests. I do want to especially thank Kelsey Corneli, DDI's membership director, who led the effort on today's annual meeting, as well as Scott Goldstein, our Chief of External Affairs and Government Relations, as well as the entire DDI team, who all have stepped up to make sure that this event has been a success. It takes months in the making, and I hope you enjoyed your day. And you can save the date for next year's annual meeting and luncheon, which will be March 1st, 2024 at the Omni Dallas Hotel, and we all know it'll be here before we know it. Don't forget, the celebration continues in our offices on the 5th floor. We hope you can join us, and I'll see you there. Thank you again.